In what might be the most shocking revelation of the week, former welterweight champion Kamaru Usman just dropped some serious insider knowledge about who could potentially dethrone DDP. And trust me, it's not the name everyone's been throwing around. During an absolutely riveting episode of the Pound for Pound podcast with Henry Cejudo, Usman didn't hold back when analyzing DDP's performance at UFC 312. While the entire MMA world has been buzzing about Khamzat Chimaev being the next big threat, Usman's got a completely different take that's going to leave you speechless. Sitting there with his characteristic confidence, Usman laid out his concerns with the kind of brutal honesty that's made him one of the most respected voices in the sport. From what I saw yesterday, he revealed, leaning forward intensely, there's still a big question mark on potentially two guys that I think have a great shot at dethroning DDP. But here's where it gets absolutely fascinating. Usman dropped the bombshell that if DDP fought Imavov the same way he approached the Strickland fight, it could spell disaster for the champion. Speaking of Imavov, you should have seen how Usman's eyes lit up when discussing his striking capabilities. The way he broke down Imavov's performance against Israel Adesanya at UFC Saudi Arabia was nothing short of mind-blowing. When you stand up with Narin Imavov, Usman declared with absolute conviction, he might be the sharper guy right beside Israel Adesanya right now. Coming from someone of Usman's caliber, that's the kind of endorsement that could shake up the entire division. Let's not forget that Imavov's journey hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows. Remember that loss to Strickland back in 2023? Taking a fight on short notice is always risky, but what Imavov has done since then is nothing short of remarkable. 4 straight wins, each more impressive than the last, proving that setbacks only fuel his determination. The way he's been climbing through the ranks, leaving a trail of defeated opponents in his wake, has everyone in the division looking over their shoulders. Now, let me take you inside one of the most fascinating technical breakdowns I've ever witnessed. When Michael Bisping and Paul Felder sat down to analyze Shavkat's first career loss to Michael Venom Page, MVP, the insights they shared were absolutely golden. These two veterans of the sport, with their combined years of experience both in and outside the cage, painted such a vivid picture of what went wrong for Shavkat and why MVP's performance was nothing short of masterful. Bisping, in particular, couldn't contain his amazement at MVP's striking brilliance. The way he described those feints was like listening to an art critic discussing a masterpiece. Every movement, every fake, every subtle shift in position had Shavkat second-guessing himself, unable to mount any kind of meaningful offense. It was like watching a chess master 3 moves ahead of their opponent. Felder, bringing his striking expertise to the table, was practically jumping out of his seat when breaking down MVP's speed advantage. The timing was just impeccable. Every time Shavkat tried to throw those powerful leg kicks, MVP was already ghosting away, leaving Shavkat hitting nothing but air. The frustration on Shavkat's face told the whole story. And here's something that might surprise you. The grappling exchanges, or rather the lack thereof, played a huge role in how this fight unfolded. Neither fighter could establish any kind of control in that department, which meant we got to witness a pure striking masterclass. The way MVP's footwork kept him constantly out of danger while allowing him to pepper Shavkat with shots was nothing short of brilliant.
And the only way you can really get him is if you can anticipate when that's going to come. But he's so good at feinting. He's so good at just faking when that blitz is going to come that you never know. And and then you throw and you miss. And Shara Bullet was doing that over and over again. He'd think he had him set. He'd go to chop the leg and the leg wasn't there. And then he would just come over the top with that big right hand. And like you said, kind of just bump you out of the way. And then even then in that fight, he would also grab the legs for a little bit, push him against the fence. They'd grapple for a second, and then he would just get back out into space. And in that big octagon like they had the full-size cage there in Saudi Arabia. You can't pin him down. You just can't track him down.
Well, you need fast feet. That's why you got to do a ton of footwork drills, and I think that is missing from some fighters these days. Shah was really good. Obviously, he was 15 and 0. He's a really, really good striker, but he just didn't have the footwork capability to close off the ring, the cage, back him up against the fence, corral him there, and then do some work.
Hold on to your seats, because what happened at this press conference is going to blow your mind. Picture this. Khamzat Chimaev, the man who seems absolutely unstoppable, was put on the spot about whether anyone had ever submitted him the way he did to Robert Whittaker. At first, he tried to brush it off. You know how fighters can be with their pride. But this reporter was like a determined detective, refusing to let the question slide. The tension in the room was palpable as Khamzat finally cracked under the persistent questioning. And when he did, oh my goodness, the revelation that ACA welterweight champion Abubakar Vagaev, who was sitting right there next to him, had actually choked him out in training sent shockwaves through the entire MMA community. Can you imagine the same Khamzat who's known for being this absolute monster in the gym admitting to tapping out? Of course, Khamzat tried to play it cool, throwing out this casual explanation about how he usually trains at 100%, but sometimes just messes around and has fun. But let's be real, this is Khamzat Chimaev we're talking about, the man who's built his entire reputation on being this unstoppable force in both training and competition. This admission just proves that even the most dominant fighters have their moments of vulnerability. Just when you think you've seen everything in this sport, something comes along that completely changes the game. The rivalry between Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya has been one for the history books. Two kickboxing battles and two MMA fights, each one more intense than the last. But what happened at UFC 312 in Sydney is the kind of moment that makes you believe in miracles. Imagine the collective gasp in the arena when people realized these two former bitter rivals were not only in the same vicinity, but actually sitting next to each other. The energy in that room must have been electric. Through Pereira's coach, Plinio Cruz, acting as a bridge, these two warriors who had spent nearly an hour trying to separate each other from consciousness across multiple fights were actually having a civil conversation. But wait, it gets even better. In a moment that had everyone doing a double take, Pereira extended an olive branch in the form of a training invitation to Adesanya. Can we just take a moment to appreciate how monumental this is? This isn't just any training invitation. This is two of the most skilled strikers in MMA history potentially coming together to share their knowledge. The way Pereira approached it was beautiful, suggesting they both had things to learn from each other. And Adesanya's response? That signature chama that we've all come to love, showing that even the fiercest of rivalries can evolve into something positive. This comes hot on the heels of Adesanya training with another former rival, Robert Whittaker, before Whittaker's return at UFC Saudi Arabia. It's like we're witnessing this beautiful transformation in the sport. The timing of this potential collaboration couldn't be more interesting, with Pereira preparing for what might be the toughest test of his career at UFC 313, defending his light heavyweight title against Magomed Ankalaev, who's been on an absolute tear through the division, is no small task. Having someone like Adesanya in his corner could be a game changer. Let's not forget Pereira's incredible journey since that knockout loss to Adesanya at UFC 287. Moving up to light heavyweight turned out to be the best decision of his career. The way he captured that title from Jiri Prochazka at UFC 295, becoming the fastest fighter in UFC history to win belts in two divisions, is the stuff of legends. His transformation from Adesanya's rival to potential training partner is just another chapter in this incredible story. What we're witnessing here is nothing short of magical. Think about it. These fighters who once couldn't stand to be in the same room are now potentially going to be sharing techniques and knowledge.
Fazer essa parceria toda aí, a gente quer aprender um do outro. Muitas coisas para falar para ele também, vai ser legal, e muitas coisas que pode falar para ele.
You say let's get together, let's make this partnership happen. You feel that you have a lot to show you and you have a lot to show him.
It's a testament to the growth and maturity that comes with being a true martial artist. After spending nearly an hour locked in combat across multiple fights, Pereira and Adesanya's rivalry has blossomed into something much more meaningful than just competition. The transformation of these intense rivalries into friendships and training partnerships shows the true spirit of martial arts. One moment they're trying to knock each other out, the next they're sharing insights and experiences. It's enough to make any fight fan emotional, seeing how these warriors can put aside their differences and come together for the sake of growth and improvement. What an absolutely incredible time to be following MMA. Between Usman's eye-opening predictions about who could challenge DDP, Khamzat's surprising admission of vulnerability in training, and this unexpected development in the Pereira-Adesanya saga, the sport continues to evolve in ways we never could have imagined. The drama, the excitement, the unexpected twists and turns, this is why we love this sport so much. Just when you think you've got it all figured out, something comes along to completely shake up your expectations. Whether it's former rivals becoming training partners or dominant champions showing moments of humanity, these stories remind us that in MMA, anything is possible. As we look forward to what the future holds, one thing's for certain, the world of mixed martial arts will never cease to amaze us. With potential new challengers emerging, unexpected alliances forming, and the constant evolution of these athletes both in and out of the cage, we're witnessing some of the most exciting times in the sport's history. Stay tuned, fight fans, because if recent events are any indication, we're in for even more shocking developments, heartwarming moments, and incredible stories in the weeks and months to come. In this sport, the only thing you can expect is the unexpected, and we wouldn't have it any other way.